Hey, what's up, everybody? And thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners and influencers. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can scale profitably. And today I am joined by our guest, Mandi Ellefson. I knew I was going to screw up your last name.
No, you got it right.
Ellefson from Hands Off CEO. Welcome to the show, Mandi. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Chris. And you did not butcher my name. You did it just fine.
Oh, I thank you for that. I feel like I stuttered. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too hard on myself.
Maybe.
You're in Bakersfield, right?
I am. Yeah. It's a couple hours north of Los Angeles.
And how's the weather? Because it's hot here.
It's hot. It's hot. It's probably hotter than where you're at.
I guarantee you it's hotter than
probably around 100 or so.
That's insane. This week it's been like 85, 87 here. And we're fortunate because we also have that ocean breeze, but I can't imagine what it's like, way out there in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you have AC. I imagine you have to.
Yeah, you can't live here without air conditioning and a pool. The pool is the other way you function with the pool. I would never live in a hot climate without a pool. I know that now. Yes.
Awesome. Well, we start off every show with a little roundtable discussion, and I learned something that I didn't know about you, that you are an artist, and specifically that you do ceramic art. And I think if you're watching the video, you can see some of your work in the background, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that. How'd you get started with that?
I did a little bit. I come from an art family, actually. My mother's an artist. My grandfather was an artist, and they're professional artists that oil painting, watercolor painting, kind of a lot of things. But so I kind of has it's run in my veins. But I studied art in college. I also studied geology in college and communications. But I was going to be an art teacher, and then I discovered how much it would absolutely suck to work for the government as a teacher. And I'm like, no way, I'm not doing that. So anyway, I found in college that I love ceramics, and I've built my own little studio in my garage doing ceramics. And my specialty is crazy teapots.
Crazy teapots.
Yeah. Like the one I have behind me, kind of like people like to call it the Harry Potter teapot. Do you want me to pull it down? I could do it if you want.
Yeah, it's kind of far back there. I can't really see it.
Well, I'll pull it up then. So here's an example of something that I might make.
Super cool.
Yeah. So it's a free form piece. It's kind of fun. I like making things that are funky, and some people might like it. Some people might not. I don't really care. It's for me.
Right.
I don't have to make a living off of it, which is good.
And
but,
it's your form
I
of
just enjoy it
too.
It's totally, yeah. It totally is. But so that's I like functional art. I like things to look good and also to work well too. And
so like that piece that you just showed us, the teapot, is that where you put it on the thing that spins? I don't even know the name. I'm so naive. Where you are taking your hands like in the movie Ghost, and they're like forming it.
Why is it always the movie Ghost?
Because that's the only thing that us stupid people know.
Well, actually, this is actually a free form piece. Let me just grab this right here. This is something that was thrown on the wheel. There's a little tiny vase that was made on the wheel. So this was made as it spun, and then this was made from me throwing slabs, and I actually had a coil and I made this crazy shape with, and then I just made it distorted, and then I shaped it into that teapot. So it was just hand formed, that teapot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, for you, like you mentioned, you're not trying to make money off of your art. Is it like a therapeutic kind of where it just calms you down and helps you to get away from the stresses of running a business? Or what keeps you doing your artwork?
Yeah. So I think it's just like another piece of expression. I actually feel like the work that I do in my business is very creative as well.
Yeah.
And, I had a design company before this as a designer. So the way I see it is just an expression. It's like just a part of me. So everything that it's all creative. I don't feel like my business is stressful either. I just feel like it's a lot of fun.
Right.
So I don't feel like I have to escape. It's just one more thing that I do that's creative. One more thing of thousands in my life that I do that's creative, and I can't help it because that's just who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So, before we get into your story, I do want to ask you one question, because you said that your parents were artists as well. And I don't think that I've interviewed anybody who has artistic family members. So
Yeah.
would you consider them, like, were they entrepreneurial, or did they influence your desire to become an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. So my mom is an artist. My dad is more of an alchemist. My dad is, the man can make money from anything. And so I was really grateful to be raised by a family like this. My mom is an entrepreneur as well. She owns her own art business, but and has my whole life. And I have 5 siblings, and all of us are entrepreneurs, actually, except for one who's a salesperson, which is
Pretty
one step lower than entrepreneur. So we're all artists and we're all entrepreneurs. And that's just how we were raised. We were raised in a way that was like, you question the status quo.
Yes.
And maybe even question authority a little bit too.
Actually, that's something that that's a quality that I was raised with. My dad kind of instilled that in me. And I didn't know that not everybody gets that type of, learns those lessons as a kid. And a lot of that came from my dad growing up and experiencing a lot of discrimination, being a Mexican American, and people basically telling him that he's worthless. And he ended up, basically throwing it back in the faces of all those people by getting a PhD in physics and like 3 master's degrees and speaking at the Pentagon and doing all this amazing stuff. So, but he always said, like, question authority. So I think.
Yes. My dad's famous quote is easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
And I run my business that way.
Yeah. No, that's great. So that's a perfect segue. So let's get into your business, the hands-off CEO. So, that's, to me, at first, the first time you hear that, it's kind of like, what the heck is this? Like, how can you be a hands-off CEO? But you have a pretty cool story behind it. So tell us about what it is that you do and, your story.
All right. So what it is that I do, my company Hands Off CEO, is what we work with consulting agencies to be able to get their company to be able to grow with less reliance on them. And some of our clients, they want their company to run completely without them so they can sell it, or so that they can retire and just have this cash cow generating income. But most of our clients actually want to have their company running without them so that they can create more growth without their hours having to grow with that. And what we see is that when the CEO is removed as the bottleneck to growth, then not only could the company grow, but now the CEO has this freedom and flexibility to spend their time on whatever they want, whether that's writing a book, whether that's spending time growing the company, whether that's taking a couple weeks off to go on that dream trip that they've always wanted to take their family on. It's just, it's they have those options. So that's what we do at Hands Off CEO. And we help both the CEO and the operations manager. We actually hire and train operations managers with our clients. Awesome. And so we help them, that the operations manager actually get the company to run without the CEO, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I always tell agency owners, if they don't have an operations manager or a really, really good project manager, that absolutely has to be their next hire or their first hire, because that person is worth their weight in gold. Like, if you get the right person.
Right. Yes. If you get the right person, for sure.
Yeah. So how did you come up with this idea for the Hands Off CEO? Where did it come from? Like, what's your backstory?
Oh, well, it came from me really being in a tight spot myself with my agency. And here I am, like, days before my baby's about to be born. She's 8 years old now. Mm-hmm. And I did not I did not have the runway to be able to take maternity leave. So basically I just had to shut the whole business down, and it totally sucked.
Yeah.
And it was at a time where I could have used the income because my husband was in this graduate medical program. But instead what happened is I completely burned myself out. And, days before I was giving birth, like my arms stopped working. Like I literally had to go get like acupuncture treatments and,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And it was from all this stress. And that's the kind of stressful company that like is really common. That's really what happens when you grow your company and you try to scale it in a way that's unsustainable. And I experienced that. So I was going out and looking for, well, after I got past that, I looked at, well, how do I be able to actually make my company be able to grow with less reliance on me? This is the promise that you have as entrepreneurs, is that you can be able to create this income that's not dependent on your hours. But I found the opposite. And what I realized was that in this company that I had created, a service-based company, it did require me, and I got so stuck in the middle of it, which was really frustrating for me, because another company that I ran and managed, I was able to get to run without me. And the difference is one was a service company and one was like a property management company.
Okay.
So I had discovered that like what's really missing is a scalability formula for how to scale up an agency and how to be able to do it in a way where it requires less and less of the owner. So that's something that I started testing, and I tested just by starting to I'm like, I did this in another business and I know I could do it for some other business. So what is it going to take? So I just started doing testing and just consulting with other CEOs just for free, so I can understand the system for myself. And then as I did that, I realized, oh, what I'm doing is consulting. This could actually be a business. And I was making such a big difference for those people that I'm like, this is where I'm going to move to. So my small agency I had at the time, I had an apprentice that I sold the business to. She's still running it now. And then it has now become hands-off CEO in many iterations. And we've come up with some pretty cool innovations in the 8 years we've been in business, about 7.5 years we've been in business or so. And it's just been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So you yourself basically went from being a hands-tied CEO to now the hands-off CEO.
Yes.
This is pretty cool.
Yes.
So, you talk to a lot of consultants and agencies. What are some of the most common problems that you see? And I want to go back to something that you said about how, especially in the digital agency world, where you have so many people on social media showing their Lamborghinis and they're going on vacation all the time and making these gigantic promises of all the money that you can make in little time with basically no skills. And it's a bunch of bullshit,
Totally.
I am not one for regulation, but that shit has to stop. Like, it's insane. It's really hard. And even like the companies that come to us, a lot of the times they have that dream of working from the beach, and you get 2 years into it and they're like, this sucks. This is not what I signed up for. I didn't know that I wouldn't be able to take a vacation ever. And because if I leave the company, everything is going to fall to pieces like you experienced. So what are some of those most common problems that you see? And get very granular, like what are the specifics that people are not doing?
Okay. So I'll talk about the problem and then we'll talk about the specifics of what they can do. So there's like 3 core problems. They're all kind of related. One of them is they're charging too little. And the other one is that
100%.
their costs are too high. And then the third is that they can't command higher fees because their clients won't pay more.
Right.
Those are the top 3 challenges that we see. And it's rooted in basically they're not providing enough value. So you hear all these consultants, all these gurus say, well, just increase your fees. And that's a load of bull crap too. Yeah. Because here's the thing is that you can only increase your fees to a certain point, and the market's just not going to pay more. And the reason why is because you're not providing enough value.
Right.
So instead of just saying we're going to increase fees, because that might actually be increasing your fees might actually be, you might actually be ripping off your clients, because if you're not providing enough value for the increased fees, or even the fees that you're charging right now, you could be ripping off your clients. So instead of saying, let's just increase fees, don't worry, I'll get there too. We should increase your fees, but I'll tell you how to do it the right way. So it's to first look at what is the value we're creating for clients? How can we 10x this value? What problem are we solving for what specific type of client? So there's 3 specific things that we're looking for. One specific type of client, one specific problem, painful problem, like 6 and 7 figure problem. If you're not at least solving a 6-figure problem, you are
talking to the wrong person.
You're talking to the wrong person, and you're selling a commoditized commodity. Like that's that bad.
Exactly.
And the other part is like it is an outcome. So we're looking at the right client, the right problem, the right outcome. And when you have those 3, those are the foundation for you to be able to offer a really compelling offer that you can actually guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can give you an example of that if that would be helpful.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great. Give us an example.
So one of my clients, Jamie, they've been able to increase their profits over 55% percentage points in the past year from doing this. And we're just getting started. There's a lot more to go. So, and they've been able to increase their fees 4x increase their fees right now with this new approach that we're taking. So they're affiliate marketing company. So they do affiliate marketing, and they had about 6 different specialties they'd go in that maybe more, but it's basically for e-commerce, e-commerce companies. But so they were offering affiliate marketing. That's very commoditized, right?
I was just about to say that. Yeah. Super commoditized.
Right. So what we did is we looked at, well, how could we be able to 10x the value for your clients? How could we be able to, because we looked at some of their case studies were like amazing. They added like $20 million to a company in a year. And then some of them were like not quite as amazing. So like, how do you, and I mean, and even shared on our podcast, actually, some of them were just quite pitiful. Like that's what he said. So you have like this really big gap between like these amazing results and not so amazing. So it's looking at like, and dissect and understanding what does it take for us to create the very best results that we possibly can for our clients, even if we don't have those case studies yet.
Yeah.
Who is that client type that we could do that for, and what could we actually do? So through some exercises we walked him through, he discovered that that we could guarantee $10 million in 3 years for beauty and skincare brands. There was a couple other niches, but for so $10 million in 3 years for this specific market, and like without some painful thing they didn't want. So doing this, it's more than doubled their incoming leads. Mm-hmm. Their conversions have I don't want to say skyrocketed because they're working with small numbers, but their conversions are going up. Mm-hmm. And they've been able to bring on multi-brand, like Fortune 500 clients doing this.
Yeah. So
it's completely transformed their business, and their sales team now has this really clear criteria on how to communicate their offer. They can communicate it in an hour instead of like multiple sessions that they used to before. So anyway, so when you have that kind of offer, when you can guarantee we're going to add $10 million in 3 years, for example, do you see how that would completely transform a business and how much they can charge?
Of course. Absolutely. Because that's what people want. They want the results, and they want to minimize their risk.
Exactly. So what it is you're looking at how do we overcome risk? How do we make it so easy for a client to move forward with us to the point where they're excited to pay twice as much, 3 times as much, 4 times, 10 times as much. One of our clients that recently came in, she was able to increase her fees 10 times, like went from $30,000 to $300,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the method to do that.
You know, like on the outside looking in, this stuff is obvious. What is preventing these companies from being able to do this stuff on their own, or recognizing that, hey, let's just get rid of everybody else and only work with these guys who we get results for and can actually pay us the money that we want?
See, here's the thing is I love that you said that it's obvious, but you know what? Most people would not say it's obvious. And like, you wouldn't believe the amount of like, banging my head against the wall to try to teach people things that are obvious. But right. I think that one of the biggest things is that, well, this is risky, Like we can't guarantee that for everyone. And
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you can't guarantee it for everybody. That's the point. You don't work with everybody. It's the fear that comes from, we're going to go after this specific market, and also an actual marketing and selling process. If you don't have that in place, if you don't have a consistent way that you're generating, that you're attracting in ideal clients, then what's going to happen is that you're just going to fall prey to whatever referrals come your way, and you say yes to them, and they may be great, they may be terrible. So you could actually be hurting your reputation by taking on these clients that you have no business working with because you can't get them results.
Right.
They might not have, it's like going to college. You have to have prerequisites to be able to be successful in like a geology 401 class. You have to take 301 and 201 and 101. Like you have to have those things. So it's looking at your clients and saying, what do they need to have in place in order for us to be able to generate, to do our very best work? And then what could we guarantee? So it would be so much easier to attract in the perfect kind of clients that will be willing to pay twice as much or more for what we're doing.
So let's say, and you probably don't work with a lot of these types of clients, because I think that you work with people who are a little bit more established. But you know, a startup agency, you know, they're maybe a year in, and they haven't yet figured out what it is that they do really, really well. I believe at that stage, like when you're starting out, at least in my opinion, I think you got to just take whatever you can get until you can figure out what you're going to be good at.
Right.
And I started doing jujitsu last December, and I kind of relate it back to that, because like, you don't know what you're good at the beginning. You just try everything. And then eventually over time, you know, years into it, you're going to figure out, you know, hey, these are my strong points. So like for an early stage agency or consultant, who hasn't been able to generate consistent results for anybody, what do you think that they need to do?
Okay. Great question. And I still would be careful about who you take on and not just take on any work. This is why the industry has such a bad reputation, because you have all these newbies that actually not even just newbies. You see, I see experienced companies too. They just take on any work that comes their way.
Yeah.
If they have a pulse, they'll take money from them. And then, you know what? They can't get results for them because they didn't have the things in place to get results, or maybe they didn't have enough bandwidth to serve them well. Like for whatever reason, they didn't get results. And now, oh, well, you know what? The client just didn't do their part, and they blame it on them, which is a load of absolute bullshit, because we have an industry that has a complete lack of integrity around bringing our clients results. It's like if you're selling a product and 80% of the products came back broken, your business would be out of business, right?
Right.
But some of these companies, I think you touched on them a little bit, like some of those gurus, the way they're talking about it, if you have a few case studies, you could use that as a way to bring in more clients, but then you have a whole industry of people that are afraid to buy marketing services because they don't know if they're going to work. They've done too many tests throwing spaghetti against the wall. So these are the kind of prospects you have who have already been burned. So
that's not a few. That's not a few. That's everybody.
Yes.
Every single company in the United States has been burned in their minds.
Yes.
Perception is reality with this. Every single person has been burned. And so, yeah. So like getting back to the question, what does a agency do? What can they do if they don't know how to get results?
Yeah, if you don't know how to get results, then what you need to do is learn how to get results. Like I was explaining, and no, but what I mean by that is that if it means working for free, get results. If it means, this is what when I started my agency, I actually didn't know how to get results either. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing: is like when I started it years ago, and this is what I did. I offered, this is actually where the guarantee idea came from. Mm-hmm. The guarantee idea came from me. Basically, I would sell a project and I would learn as I went. Mm-hmm. And it works really well, because what I did is I said, well, I have 100% happiness guarantee. If you're not happy with it, I'll give you your money back. No big deal. Of course, I collected the money up front. I needed to make sure that they were serious. And so what I did was, that's where the initial guarantee started. So this is even more of a reason for, you start with a hypothesis, basically, where you're looking at it, because this and this is in place, I believe we can get them this result. And then you offer them this and say that we guarantee that we'll be able to do this for you. It has to be a useful enough guarantee and then that's how you can sell it.
Okay.
And
I bring this question up because there was an agency that came to me, sweetheart designer, very, very talented, does not know how to get results. And she's about a year or two into her agency. So let's just role play and let's pretend like I'm her. So she's building websites for clients, specifically in a niche within the sports vertical. So she works a lot with, because of her connections, company, and I don't want to give it away because I don't want to call her out, but a specific sport, right? She's got connections in a specific sport. And so all these companies that make products for that sport, she's been doing a lot of work for them, but it's just building out websites. So when it comes to doing any type of lead generation or marketing automation, she doesn't have it. Yeah. So if you're talking, let's pretend like I'm her, what's the advice that you give?
Well, here's the thing is, first of all, you have to recognize that she's in a commodity field.
Yep. 100%.
That's, I would, what I like to do is take an agency and take it away, completely decommoditize it and do it by, like you have your brains work and your hands work, and you add consulting into an agency work. And now you have both the brains and hands, and that's worth more than just agency work. And it's worth more than just consulting because you're doing both.
Yeah. I love that.
So what I would do in this situation is that, and this is what I did. This is exactly what I did. I went to the library, the Multnomah County Library. It was one of the best libraries in the country. And I read every book that I could find on web design and on this was actually in its infancy. Before YouTube was what it is, I didn't have these resources we have now.
Right.
And, this is right when WordPress was really becoming big too. So anyway, I educated myself. And what I would do is I would be looking at, for her, I would invest in skills to be able to learn the marketing side of it. And to learn the marketing side of it, and then get paid clients to use to test these things on. But also be looking at evaluating for you these clients is like, what are the risks for them? If you don't understand the risk points for your potential clients, then your clients won't trust you because you won't really understand it. Yeah. And when you can bring, this is another sales piece, is like when you can understand these are all the failure points for your clients, now you just qualify clients based on this list of criteria. And if they don't have this, you can even say, hey, you know what? You don't have this piece in place. We need to put this place in place before I could guarantee this, because you need to have this thing in place first.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like the movie 8 Mile when Eminem is doing his final rap battle and he calls out all the things. He's like, I know that you're going to get me at this. You can basically use that same formula where you go to the client and you say, I know that you're worried about this. I know that you're worried about this. You don't have this in place. So yeah, this isn't going to work well. You need this in place before.
That's a great idea for a content piece. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay. Feel free to just give me something in the credits.
Yeah, all the things that will go wrong. I will.
Okay, great. So, like you were mentioning today, there's so much information out there. Who's like your go-to for learning about, let's just say, lead generation?
My go-to for learning about lead generation. I'm trying to think because there's just so many different people out there. Chet Holmes' Ultimate Selling Machine is really good.
Okay.
Adam Urbanski is one of my mentors who's absolutely brilliant. Seth Godin has some good ideas. And
what about like the technical side? Like, let's say that part of your lead generation strategy is going to be Facebook ads. Do you have a go-to person that you would recommend that you can learn the technical side, or a partner? Maybe like an outsourced partner that you can go.
I actually don't recommend Facebook ads for agencies. Most of agencies, it's a scale strategy, and there's so much low hanging fruit from direct response marketing, and so Chet Holmes is very much a direct response marketing. Another book I'm reading that's on that right now, I just started reading it. It's from Alan Dibb, the
Okay.
one-page marketing plan, which is
Uh-huh.
very direct response marketing focused. I'm going to be having him on my podcast here soon.
Nice.
But yeah, I like I like having a more direct approach. And when you have like what we call this client success map, when you're really clear on who you're offering what to, what's the outcome, what they're going to get out of working with you, have you a big guarantee around it, and you understand like these are the 5 stages that we work through, for example, to get them to this client. We put this all in this visual framework. When you have that, that's the key for you to increase your confidence to sell your work for more.
Gotcha.
And also for to communicate to your clients exactly what you can do for them.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right, Mandi, we are out of time. This has been fantastic. I hope if you're listening to this that you're taking notes or go back and listen to it again, because there are so many little nuggets that are going to help you. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you, Mandi?
Well, you know what? Some of the things that we had talked about, like those 3 big barriers to growth and offering guarantees and all of that. We have an ultimate roadmap to scaling your agency. You can download that at handsoffceo.com/roadmap.
Okay. Awesome. We'll make sure to have
And
that link in the show notes as well.
and you can also follow me on my Hands Off CEO podcast.
Okay, great.
We have that
And
going.
and who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
The perfect person. The perfect person is someone who already has proven results. They get great results for their clients. You know that you could potentially charge more, but you just don't quite know how. And you want to really accelerate the growth of your company. And you're at a place where you want to just really take a quantum leap forward, or you're at a place where you're completely at capacity, you're getting really close to it and just can't grow anymore. And those type of companies, we can typically double those companies in about 6 months.
Wow, that's awesome. Is that your guarantee or is that typical results?
Well, that's typical results. We have all sorts of awesome guarantees, like 100% happiness guarantee, 5x ROI guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of them.
Awesome.
We practice what we preach.
I love that. And to be honest with you, there aren't a lot of people like yourself who offer a guarantee. So I love that you put your money where your mouth is.
I most certainly do. It's how we roll.
Nice. All right. Well, to all of our listeners, thank you guys for listening today, and make sure that you tune in next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Bye, guys.